Good evening. This is our April 1st regular town council meeting. We want to welcome everybody that's come today. Could we have a roll call, please?
Shannon?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Edwards?
Here.
Cavazos? Day?
Here.
There. Had a little glitch in the camera. Can you start over? I'm sorry.
Sure. Okay, well, good evening. This is our April 1st regular town council meeting. If we could have a roll call, please?
Shannon?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
Edwards?
Here.
Cavazos? Day?
Here.
Oh, great. Welcome, everyone. Our first order of business is our Pledge of Allegiance. We have Bears Den number 4, pack 1382, where we have Aiden Hansen, Andy Payne, and Eli Geller that's going to give us the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, guys.
Great job. Thank you all very much. And to do our invocation for this evening, we have Pastor Mark Brady from Park Valley Church. Pastor, if you maybe can just give us an update on the great things that Park Valley's doing and then lead us into invocation.
I love it when I get the email and said, would you come hang out with the town of Haymarket? So thank you guys. It is an honor and privilege, and I love being here because I'm part of this community. I love living in Haymarket. I love what you guys are doing. Our church is turning 16 years old this year. So that means I'm getting older. Wow. But it's cool to be a part of a community that's so great, and it's cool to be a part of a church that is not inward focused, it's outward focused. And it was kind of cool. Last Thursday, I was hanging around with some Cub Scouts, and they asked me what it looked like to lead. And I just think as leaders, and everyone in here is a servant leader, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for your humility, for your love, for your service, because that goes a long way in our community. But, in Mark 10:45 says, "For even the Son of Man came not to come to be served, but to serve and to give his life for us as a ransom." So you all as sacrificial servants to our community, it's the best place to be. And thank you for your humility. And I'm so encouraged when I'm out in the community for outreach events and Mayor Leak is out there running around sweating to death during Haymarket days or doing movie nights or doing whatever we do. I thank you for that. I thank you to show us what it looks like to be a servant leader. And then, to encourage people. Your job is to encourage our community by lifting people up and edifying people, and you guys do a great job of that. And that's 1 Thessalonians 5:11 says, "Therefore encourage one another and build each other up just as you're doing." You guys are amazing when it comes to that. Accept everyone. Got to be accepting in this world, Got to love God and love people. Just keep it simple. I think that's one of the reasons why Park Valley Church is growing, because we truly accept people where they are. And that's how you guys lead. You accept people and you love them and you meet them where their needs are. And it just says in Mark 12:30-31, love your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your mind, and then love your neighbors yourself. And I'm thankful we live in a community where we can love our neighbors. It's amazing. It is so amazing. And then the last part of leadership is discovering where God wants to use you. And I say wherever your gift is, where God's given you your gifts here to minister and manage this community, it's just amazing. And Park Valley Church never wants to be a church of a stinky church. You stay inward focused, you're going to get stinky and old. So we want to be that church that's out there, loving our community. So thank you guys for everything you do. And it's an honor to know everyone here in this room. And I just want you to know I love you from the bottom of my heart. So let's pray. God, I thank you for tonight. We live in an incredible community. We've been blessed. Lord, I pray for our leaders here that you would just give them clarity. God, I pray that you would bless their marriages. Lord, I ask you that you would bless their children and their grandchildren. And God, just give them wisdom in making decisions. And I think when we focus on you first, then those decisions we make become so much easier, more clearer. And I would just pray that everything that we do is predicated on love, because that's what you did for us. You show us love each day, and you show us mercy. So continue just to bless this town, God. Let us be a light in a dark world, and a place where people can see, wow, our community cares about this world, and we thank you for that gift. So, Lord, we love you. We thank you. We just give you all the praise in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. All right, our next item is our minutes for approval. We have a March 4th work session for 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. regular town council meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 4th, 6 p.m. work session and the March 4th, 7 p.m. regular meeting.
Motion by Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Leek. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Abstain? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item is our staff reports. We have our administrative staff.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We've got some exciting news. We have been invited by Fox Channel 5 News, along with the Prince William Tourism Department, to participate in Zip Trip this year on Friday, May 31st, from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. If you're not familiar with Zip Trip, it is a segment they do in the summer every Friday from May until August, featuring and highlighting towns and cities in the DMV. So I've been working with the tourism department for over a year now, and so it's coming to fruition, and we're very excited.
Yep.
Also, we've had some issues with the light poles, and we've been working on those. You might have seen someone out on the weekends when traffic is a little bit lighter. We're just trying to make sure everything's working correctly, everything's tightened, there's no rusted bolts, and the lights are working. If the lights are out, we are changing them to LEDs, so they'll last longer. Also, the treasurer and I have conferenced with an online payment vendor to look at some online payment ideas. In planning and zoning, Ms. Lockhart's been working with a lot of different site plans that are coming in, as well as the Crossroads Village site plans. And the treasurer has completed the draft budget and is working on business license renewals. If you have any questions, just please let me know.
Okay. Let's see if we can go around the dice, see if we do. Vice Mayor?
Nope.
Okay. All good?
That's just awesome.
Yeah. The zip,
That is awesome. And the request is coming in to be able to shut down just the block here and everything, and that's not going to be an issue, I don't think. But that is awesome for our town.
We met with the producer and the cameraman, and they love the shot from here looking into the mountains
Yep.
with the museum and Washington Realty, the beautiful buildings. And so we're going to have it right here like a little street fair. And businesses will be able to participate. We're going to try to get local talent, the schools to participate as well. Should be a really fun morning.
and a
Early
lot-
but fun morning.
and a lot of nonprofit too. So it seems like that's how they gear.
Thank you for running that
Oh,
to ground
absolutely.
and that come to fruition. That's awesome.
Absolutely. It's very exciting.
What time is it?
6 a.m. to 11 a.m.
Yeah. So their setup starts like at 4 a.m.
Yep.
as they will set up and put the satellite truck and then this will come alive just like most of our events as people come in.
It's all live. Mhm.
Yep. And then they'll,
Shelley's put in a lot of time
yeah.
Yep.
trying to get this to come here.
I think Supervisor Canlin will be here as well. So there's some kind of trivia thing that they do.
Interviews. Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, and they usually recognize some of the nonprofits or volunteers. If you go into, I guess, through YouTube, you could look at some of the ones that they've done at Atlas Walk, Town of Middleburg, Leesburg, I know, has had them.
And they're going to highlight local businesses, do a little taste of Haymarket. It should be a great morning. It
Yep.
really should be. So I encourage everybody to come out.
Yep, that'll be
I'm adding
great.
it to my calendar right now. So thank you.
Now, there is a possibility that the dates might change, but I think,
The dates, no, we are May 31st.
Okay.
It's nice. It's not in the hot part of the summer. We've got a really good day, I really
Okay.
think, so.
okay, great. All right, any other questions? Otherwise, we'll turn it over to Chief Lands. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are y'all?
Excellent.
You have the report in front of you. Any questions on the statistics for the month
of March? Seeing none, I just want to highlight some things we did this month. We had a very, very busy community policing month, as you can see, and I've added a couple more at the bottom of that. We first attended the Chamber of Commerce Valor Awards, where Officer John Gregory received the Valor Award for life-saving measures that he did right here on 66, where the doctors stated that he saved the gentleman's life by searching for him in the woods after he had wandered off after an accident. Told you about this before. It was a very nice event. Several of council members and the mayor attended. We appreciate your presence of being there. We appreciate your support for our police officers. Very, very proud of Officer Gregory. That's just one of, I think I counted like 6 of people that he's either saved from serious injury or life-threatening injury since he's worked here. So now we'll just go down a list of the things we did for community policing. We went to the Goddard School and did a safety talk there for the kids. This month, we did a school bus PSA. I don't know if any of you saw that on our Facebook page. I think we're up to about 26,000 hits on that post, where we got a couple of the bus drivers here. We did an intro with Officer O'Neill. He introduced the drivers, and we went over the laws on what you need to do. The ending of it was, if you don't stop for the red flashing lights of the school bus, you will stop for the red and blue flashing lights of the Haymarket Police Department. We have zero tolerance for that in the town. The reason why we did that is we've seen an increase in summonses that our officers are doing, and that may just be because we're increasing our presence on the school bus stops. And again, we have zero tolerance. No matter who you are, if you don't stop for the bus and endanger the lives of the kids in the town, we will write you a summons, and you will come to court and explain that to the judge. So we got a lot of good feedback on that. We attended Gravely Elementary, Haymarket Children's Academy, and St. Michael's Academy as well. Did safety talks in each one of those for the kids, let them climb all over the cars, and introduce them to the friendly police officers in the town of Haymarket. The last couple things I have is you saw the message board outside. I don't know if you've seen that. If you slow down, or we'll call your mom. A lot of people have been commenting on that. On Facebook, there's 70,000 hits on that post. 70,000. I think we have, 2,500 people here in the town. So it's been shared over 600 times. It's gone viral. We've got NBC Channel 4. Is that here? They did a story on it, so did WTOP. So you never know what's going to hit. I throw a lot of stuff on our Facebook page, and this one just hit. People really loved it. We're getting a lot of good comments about it. And the last thing I have that also involves Facebook, something I'm very proud of. I've been waiting for this moment. When I got here, we were at 800 followers, and now we're at 8,000 followers on Facebook in a little over 2 years and 3 months.
That's great.
So I'm just, it's the power of social media, and people are sharing. They like what we're doing. I mean, they're inviting other people that aren't even part of the town. So we're really proud of that. We are a community policing organization, but I'd like to point out that there's low crime in this town, so we're doing our job on that front as well. So with that, I'll open up to any questions from you.
Okay, I'll start. Just to go back to Officer Gregory, I think a little bit of that story was, it could have been easily dismissed that the guy was driving was drunk and left the scene. But it was only him requesting Chopper 1 to come is how that life got saved. And I guess I really, it's great that he has that instinct to be able to think, wait a minute, there's something else going on here, and request that, because that you don't normally get that to come out.
No, sir.
Right. So kudos to him with that. And also, I guess, also with the bus drivers, I think I even, listening to the video clip, that a lot of them say this is a problem, that people are zooming by them. So to hear the drivers say this as well just kind of reiterates that. And the comments, it was humbling to read some of the comments for that latest for the board. Yeah, it was good stuff. Yeah, thank you, sir.
I would just like to say I did see the officers out on that end of town after we had just a casual conversation about it. So
Yes, ma'am.
They seem to be slowing the people down, so. We appreciate it that in town.
I know
Well,
something,
I'm never short of words when it comes to the police department, or this team up here. Thank you. You make a difference. You make a big difference. I haven't met anyone that has really said anything bad about the police department. People sometimes will get tickets, don't like it. It's their fault. They're speeding or whatever. But I got to tell you, you and your team make a difference in this town. Not only this town, but the surrounding areas. Because people know traveling through this town, it's relatively safe to do so. Just look at all the arrests that, you know, and I think the arrests, a lot of them have slowed down quite a bit and everything. Word gets around. Word gets around. So, thank you.
questions or comments from the dice? Okay.
No, I mean, Chief, numbers speak for themselves. I know a lot of folks, as Councilman Shannon stated, get upset in regards to tickets and such, or call us a speed trap town, or say that we write tickets for 26 or 27, but unfortunately those folks just, they don't have any merit to stand on in those facts. For mere fact, if you look at our numbers in regards to warnings based off summons, and then if you even go look at our docket down at the courthouse in regards to what actually is being processed through it. I mean, a judge would throw out something for so small. Then you also have folks who say to get rid of the police department and not to spend the $800-some thousand on them. And I think when we look at the budget and we know that the police department is a huge part and is the biggest rock, one of the biggest rocks, excuse me, when we build our budget in those regards just for the service that you provide the community. We understand that the western side of Prince William County is lacking there in staffing, and with Central being opened up and resources being strained, and we're a huge asset to not just the town but also to the surrounding areas in those regards. So I can't thank you enough for everything that you and the gentleman of our force does, and I'm so proud of you, and I think I speak for everyone else at the dais when we say we're blessed to have you as a leader, and as Pastor Mark was speaking earlier, having a great leader, and it really has come down to you and the two gentlemen before you in setting this police department up, but you've just taken it and have just run with it like a little Energizer bunny and just gone. And it's just, we're so blessed to have you as a leader in this community, as well as leading these guys being so successful. So thank you.
In reference to the summonses, just want to point out 54 summonses we wrote this month with 222 warnings. So
26%, about 26% of the people actually get the citations. And it could be a heck of a lot higher, but you don't, so.
I think also, Chief, there was on our rundown, and actually made the newspaper also, that Sergeant was first on the scene for that incident. That wasn't in our locality. This is where the gentleman was taking a knife to another man. That
a machete.
Machete, yes.
Machete,
Yeah.
In Somerset.
Yeah.
Yeah, the gentleman was just working out in his garage, and another gentleman that he didn't know for no reason other than he was having a mental health crisis just came up and started hitting him with a machete. Cut him really bad. The gentleman that was working out wrestled the machete away and was trying to hold him at bay, and Sergeant Shaver was the very first one on scene, pulled him down at gunpoint, tackled him, and arrested him. And that situation was put to a swift end and could have resulted in very serious bodily harm or death, but our officer was right there on the scene.
That's what I'm talking about, the difference you make in your team.
That was just a week ago.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, any further comments? Otherwise, we'll keep moving on here. All right. Our next item is our citizens' time. We have a couple of citizens that have signed up, and for the record, we do have one email that came in that would like to be part of citizens' time. I put that at the table back there. That will be entered into the record as well. So first up, Mr. Weir.
Bob Weir, 6853 St. Paul Drive. I was going to speak exclusively to the budget, but in reviewing the packet, I looked over your playground thing, and I noticed something. In your original playground footprint, the entire land disturbing area wasn't calculated. You did the calculation for the playground footprint, but not the surrounding grading, which throws you over 2,500 square feet. Now that you're expanding it to roughly 3,500 square feet, you've reached that nexus at a point at which you're going to need to file a site plan, an E&S plan, stormwater maintenance, all that other wonderful stuff, and pull your permits from the county. And I don't see anything in there about the costs or the timetable on that. And I don't believe that's one of the things that the town can waive, because I believe that's a matter of both the ordinance and state code, particularly Title 62.1, Chapter 44.15. So I would just take a look at that before you go any further with your playground plans, because you're going to want to get that cost factored in, because it's not going to be something that's minimal, I don't believe. Which brings us to the budget and finances. I have a more than passing familiarity with municipal accounting and budget practices, and quite frankly, the budget scares me, both this year's and the proposed budget for next year. If you look at the total income for this month and the total expenses, you're entering that lean time of the year where your expenditures are largely greater than your income stream. And if you look through the budget, there are a lot of line items that are out of whack, and I'm going to pick on the PD, just as an example. Go to the
If you
PD
could, Mr.
uniform
Ware,
and supply budget.
If you could just, they're going to address the council and not the PD, as you.
I'm saying I'm going to address the
I know, right?
PD
It
line
just was-
item. If you go to the line item this year for PD uniforms and supplies, you'll find a disturbing trend. In FY17, it was over by 13,000. In FY18, it was over by 33,000. And at this point in time in the budget through, I guess it's February, they're over 8,000 and trending towards $23,000 over the allocated line item. And I'd love to hold the chief responsible for that, but I can't. He's just asking for stuff. He's fulfilling his requirements. That responsibility lies with the town council. I shouldn't have to remind the council that your principal role is a fiduciary one. You control the purse strings. The chief shouldn't be making purchases above and beyond his allocation. But that being said, the checks shouldn't be executed, the checks shouldn't be signed, and the treasurer should be putting a hard stop on expenditures above allocations until the budget's amended. And I haven't seen any budget amendments recently, and you've got a lot of lines that are significantly over 100% funding for the year. So somebody needs to sit down, take a look at this budget, figure out how you need to amend it, and account for the overages and the underages before you do a proposed budget for next year, which will simply continue the same thing. Getting on to next year's budget. I hear the argument every year, flat tax rate. Flat tax rate is not a flat tax in an era of rising assessments. Everybody in town is getting whacked by a significantly higher county tax payment this year, and a variety of other state and local taxes that are being raised incrementally. Everything from increases in your sales tax to cover the transportation fund, gas taxes, any number of things. And now, if any of you have filed your state taxes, I'm sure you were pretty shocked, because you're going to be giving more money to the state. So I think you guys need to take a real hard look at equalizing the tax rate and controlling some of your spending. Increasing the meals tax, you really want to put that back in the paper again and bring that PR back to the town? It's bad enough that they already have a higher sales tax than any other jurisdictions in Virginia, except those in Planning District 8 and in Tidewater, as a result of the additional sales tax they pay for transportation. Now you're going to raise the meals tax on it even more and make them less competitive with the surrounding restaurants in the county. There are people that don't eat here because of it, and you're just going to put it back in the paper with a raise, and it's probably going to have unportended or unintended consequences. I would strongly suggest you not increase it. And in view of all these increased tax burdens we're looking at, now you're floating the idea of another bond and taking out even more debt and increasing the taxes that we're going to have to pay to pay that increased debt. What happened to all the money that was set aside for this 7 or 8 years ago? Previous councils spent a lot of it by spending your capital reserves on operational expenses. That has got to come to a stop. And until you get that under control, there should be no thought of taking on an additional bond, especially as your operational costs increase. I mean, your PD budget now accounts for nearly a third of your entire budget. Last thing, the CIP. There's a lot of things on this CIP that should not be in the CIP. They're operational expenses. Painting a light post, that's a maintenance and operational expense. Repairing the crosswalk, that's a maintenance and operational expense. Your IT technology upgrade, if that's simply updating your computers, that's not a capital expenditure. That's an upgrade, that's a maintenance expense. And as far as the expenditures for the police department, a lot of these belong in this line item for equipment. You don't throw it in the CIP and add it in at the end with extra monies. You guys really need to get your fiscal house in order. Thank you.
And thank you for your comments, sir. Our next is Mr. Folk, I believe. Or did you want? No, no worries. No worries at all. Anybody else would like to speak during citizens' time? That would be your opportunity. Okay, seeing none, we'll close citizens' time and we'll go to our agenda items. We're on the Washington Street crepe myrtles, as we discussed in our work session, and I think in previous meeting, we have before us some proposals.
We're on page 29, correct?
And this extra piece of paper that just came in, did you get that one?
We
Yeah.
do. We have multiple proposals for the crepe myrtles, 38 crepe myrtles down Washington Street, removing 28 of the hawthorns. I believe at the last council meeting, the directive was to present this to the Planning Commission and ARB, and they both have provided recommendations to proceed with the planting of the crepe myrtles. A fourth estimate came in, which you should have it at the dais. Staff recommendation is, of course, that we have a current contract with Premier Turf and Landscaping for all the town landscaping needs, which includes the pruning of the trees. And so staff recommendation would be to proceed with Premier proposal.
Okay.
So,
Any questions, or we could proceed to, there's a draft motion as presented as well.
This is coming from our streetscape.
Streetscape is what are, correct. This would, excuse me,
Historic, I think.
historic.
Historic Commission, yes.
Exactly.
Or- Yes, for the streetscape, yes.
And so for those who remember, that we, after many, many years of speaking to our previous mayor, we were able to release some monies that were in a savings account, let's call it, that only had one signature that could release that. She released that, sent it over to the town. We made record of that. We had almost
21,000 and some change.
Yeah,
yes.
21,000 that we put in. We actually have that on a line item that the purpose was kind of set forth in a charter or a organization of that committee or foundation that we see that this would be fitting for that purpose of this money. So,
And these estimates include taking the hawthorns out and replanting the 38 crepe myrtles, 8-foot crepe myrtles.
And this $14,000 was the estimate, low estimate.
That was, and that is the
Okay.
landscapers that
Okay.
the town does use at this time.
Yeah, I think just, my comment, we beat this horse,
Yep.
and we've done a lot of checking, and these crepe myrtles are the way to go. I am 100% in favor of it. In fact, be more than happy when it's time to make the motion.
there you go. Well,
Go for it.
I'll entertain it at this time.
I move the town council approve the replacement of the existing street trees with red rocket crepe myrtles, and to direct staff to award the proposal to Premier Turf and Landscaping for $14,000.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? The only thing that we might want to do is say where we're going to maybe take the money from. And maybe we include that it would be,
Amend it.
yeah, maybe just for clarification.
What was the amendment? I'm sorry.
Just that the money's to be taken from the historic foundation line item. Is that where we have it, Roberta? Historic foundation line item? Yes. Okay.
From the historic line item?
Right,
Historic
correct.
Foundation, yeah.
Pardon me?
Historic Foundation.
Okay, okay. You need me to read this again and add that?
No, I think just as long as
Okay.
it goes with that understanding, and you're second with two, that understanding.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Got it.
So when we reflect back on the minutes, we'll know that that's included. So with that, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Absolutely.
Leek?
Yes.
Panthy?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Day?
Yes. Great. Okay. Our next line item is the painting bids for the town rental properties. We had staff go back, let Ms.
From
Shelley.
the February meeting, it was a council directive to come back and secure a third bid. The exterior painting includes the town properties, Washington Realty, the museum, the Whole Fish property, which is the very thing, and then the accessory shed behind that. I have listed the 3 estimates. And since the agenda went out, Dawson's Painting has contacted me, and his schedule is just too busy, and he doesn't feel that he could get the job done.
So he's asking withdrawal.
He's asking to withdraw,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
So we have Sublet Services and Alex Painting.
Yep. So with that,
Just a
Sure.
quick question. Is either one of those the ones that did the painting inside here?
Yes, Alex did the interior here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that was my question is, have we seen their work? Do we have any recommendations or whatever?
Yeah.
But that answered my question. I'm
yeah,
good.
staff worked with them. They did the painting during
Yes.
business hours too, I
Yes.
think.
Oh, they
And,
did a tremendous job.
Yeah. Okay, we have a draft motion as well on page 30.
I move that the Haymarket Town Council accept the bid from Alex Painting in the amount of $23,700 for the exterior painting of the museum, the Washington Street Realty Building, and the Whole Fish Building and Shed.
My second?
Second by Councilman Shannon. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Panthy?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Day?
Great. Our next item, as we discussed in our work session, is the computers at the dais. For those that weren't present during that time, I think we discussed a lot of areas of this, just the cost savings, being green, reduction in printing costs. I think there's just a little bit of clarification as we go in implementing these that we figure out the logistics of how it will work. But
I appreciate the treasurer breaking this down as I'd asked, because, I mean, I think that's important to see what we spend annually, what this would cost, because it's paid for itself pretty much the first year, or close to it. So thanks for giving us that information.
we do have a sample draft motion on page 31.
I move that the town council proceed with staff's recommendation to purchase 8 14-inch HP touchscreen Chromebooks for the dais.
I will second.
Motion second by Councilman Panthy. Discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Panthy?
Yes.
Edwards? Yes. Day?
Yes.
Okay. We look forward to a more greener, I think for the listening public, the one publication that we had for the 1 month was what, 305 pages or something like that of color and stuff, and that this will definitely, and intending VML, I think with Vice Mayor in the year that we did, that was one of
A
the,
long time ago.
but how the municipalities are going this way, it's a shame it took us 3 or 4 years to get there. But look forward to having all the boards and commissions to work off of those. Okay, our next item is our town center bid report. As we know, Jerry Shiro has taken the opportunity to give us some ideas of typical funding. If we kind of go back to this was, I think we date back to the year 2012, as we were in a meeting and made a decision of, no one here on the dais except for me, to proceed with making this building a government center. As that decision was made, there's a lot of logistics that had to go. We had a police department that was behind us that would need to have, we had a tenant that was moving out, and to be able to put everything under one government center, this started with a long road of the tenant moving out, renovating, spending almost $500,000 in the renovation of just the police department of the building, moving them out of the building, which then gave us the opportunity to repair and put a new tenant in, which is the Copper Cricket. As we then decided that this building needed a facelift, we vetted this through the Planning Commission, through the ARB. We decided to fund the project through the architects and the drawings. That was, I want to think, over 6 figures of just the drawings alone as we went through our town manager at the time, Mr. Henshaw, and then Mrs. Murray, a couple revisions there as we finally got to the product, which is back here on the easel of something that's been vetted a long time. Not knowing how much this is going to cost, we're not sure how we're going to fund it. So we went out to bid. The first time that we finally got out to bid, we only had one respondent. We decided to wait, let's send it back out. We sent it back out to early January this year. We actually got 4, I believe, respondents to give us what would it cost to put this out. Now, I say that we did scale back. We scaled back a lot. There was a thought of redoing the dais, and it's like, this works fine. There's no reason to redo it. What we're trying to do is achieve the outside goal of the blight that we have behind us here of the building, and trying to make it one good-looking building that we could be proud of, and that other people will be building beside us. So with that, we've gotten some proposals and ways of funding it. So with that, I think I'll open it up to just any discussion. I mean, this is obviously nothing that I think we can decide on right away tonight. It's going to be a process, but it just opens up for discussion for tonight.
How long are these bids good for?
And that's a question I don't know that we have that answer. Yeah.
Okay.
I think like anything, when you go and receive bids, Mr. Day, I'm sure you have a lot of expertise with that as far as, receiving bids and then having to rebid it again. It's a process of doing business with large companies.
That is definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I do have a comment on this.
Okay,
on
for
this-
the town center, sure.
On the town center, and it involves regarding the town center and the budget. And you want me to wait till then?
Well, no, this will be a good time. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that I don't think that this building is a need, and I think that we should wait until we have the funds to do it without raising taxes. I believe raising taxes should only be done as a last resort when there is a need. Refacing the current town hall building is not a need. Raising taxes so we can afford the payments on a future $1 million loan does not qualify as a need. We currently have a $1 million loan we are paying off. At the current pace, that loan will be paid off in approximately 7 years. If we wait until that loan is paid off, we can easily afford the town hall remodeling without raising taxes. We do not know what the future economy will look like if we raise taxes so we can turn around and take out a new loan. We will be burdening our town of Haymarket unnecessarily and limiting the town's ability to easily respond and maneuver when unexpected financial stresses faces. We need to have the wisdom and patience to wait until we can afford the building remodeling without raising taxes. I would like to also point out that property values have continued to increase. While this is a good thing, it also means that residents are already paying more in taxes. Adding an additional tax burden, even a small one, is not the responsible thing to do. The town's goal, since I have lived here, is to be known as a walking town. The goal, as I understand it, is to encourage our town residents to walk and enjoy local town businesses. Raising the meal tax only encourages people, both inside and outside of the town, to skip Haymarket and enjoy a meal in Gainesville. So, in short, while I am in favor of the building, I just don't believe this is the appropriate time, especially if it requires raising taxes.
Okay, I appreciate your comment there.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sure others would like to speak. Vice Mayor? No comments?
Not at this time.
Okay.
You know, it's kind of like the letter, you know, the want or the need, but, so I can certainly appreciate what Councilman Day is saying. You know, what is the vision of the town? If this has been going on since when,
12, at least.
2012?
Yeah.
At what point in time do we bite the bullet and do it? But at the same time, I don't want to do, I will tell you, I'm opposed to raise property taxes. I'm not opposed to raising meal taxes, half a cent or so, or whatever it was that we discussed at that last one. I'm not concerned with people skipping the town, going somewhere else to eat. Not concerned with that at all. I don't believe, you know, if it runs some off, I believe everybody else that's here, they'll make up that difference. But there's merit certainly to what Councilman Day is saying. I mean, we have a pretty building here. We do have a pretty building, but is it the vision? You know, is it, we're writing blight letters to others. Fortunately, things are going to be happening. At what point in time, you know, do we take that next step? I know I've been a part of, between the council and the planning commission for over 2 years now, and we've talked about it, and we've made some progress, but we haven't taken that step. So that's just my opinion. I mean, I look forward to discussing it more and looking into whether there be any other options or whatever.
Okay. Councilman Leak, Councilman Panthy, any comments?
I'm on board to do this. I think at the time that we're sitting here, we're looking at it, we're constantly talking, but there's no action behind it. And that's why a lot of things don't get done, is because we sit there and talk. Now, making sure that we're doing it financially and feasibly, I think, is a big aspect to it. I think, me personally, and I've shared this a couple times, I don't think that we should be in the landlord business. As you look through the packet, one of the options there is that we did have an offer for a property. Don't know if the offer still stands. We'd have to get back with the owner. But with that being said, I mean, we have the ability to bring in a large chunk of change to be able to buy down the debt service necessary to minimize the increase in the overall debt that we would have to carry on a given year. But I don't think that we should be in the landlord business, in my personal opinion. There's a lot of things to it. Yes, a lot of these buildings that we have put money into have started to become cash flow positive based off the investment and what we have gotten and the rate of return. And staff's doing a great job with revamping these leases and signing solid tenants to increase our rent revenue. But at the same time, I think there's some of these outbound buildings that are not in this government center itself that could be liquidated to be able to pay for some of these projects, whether it be this project or the park. I know that you stated that one of our big things is that we have blight going on all around us, and one of our big things is that this building could be considered blighted, as well as some of the surrounding. And it's how can we, as a leader in the community and a governing body, go out there and enforce a blight ordinance, but at the same time be carrying a building that could be considered blight as well. And so we have to act on that and not just be an enforcer, but also make sure that we're active upon it. Now, I agree, and the letter that Mr. Carnahan wrote in this evening, and that will be entered into the minutes, making sure we're doing it feasibly. And that's where I come down to. I don't think we're in the landlord business. I think that if we have offers to liquidate some of these properties on the outskirts of our government center, we do a shared parking use agreement with them, and we liquidate at a fair market price. I think that's an option, and now I look forward to exploring these different options that have been put in front of us, as well as if anyone else has a fourth or tertiary option there. I'd love to talk about it and hear it and discuss it further. But right off the bat, I would say that liquidating one of our outskirt assets that only brings in a revenue of about 42, 43 a year, yet if you look at the maintenance side of it, what we're spending to keep it up and going, I think that we should liquidate those outskirt buildings and be able to move forward with knocking out some of our bigger projects that we have on hand.
Okay. Any other comments, or I'll say mine?
I would have to say that I do think that we need to lead by example. We need to clean this property up and redo the building. We've been working on this for a long time. We've invested a lot of money that we've paid up front to do this. We can't let it go on forever, or that money's just thrown out the window. I do not agree with selling the historic buildings in town. Once you sell them, we lose control of them. And we've all seen what's happened to the historic buildings that other people have bought because they were going to develop them, and now they have demolition permits for them. So I think that's a bad idea. With the amount of income that we're bringing in from this, I don't think it's a good decision.
Okay. Yeah, I look back in when we met in previous councils of 2014 and 2016, we actually met offsite and had a visionary of what did this council want to do at that time, or 2014 or 2016, and just this past year in 2018 we met. And going by that, the number one for action item agenda was complete the town hall renovation project. From the streetscape, or from the street, one would argue it doesn't look bad. But we have to remember, too, we have tenants that have buildings behind us, and all you have to do is go around to the back or walk around the back and look at the back of our building, and you look and think, my gosh, what a mess. We had criticism when I say we because I think at least two of us on the dais were there, when we decided to invest in the two buildings, the Hullfish and the old post office. We took a lot of criticism. It was like, why would you spend any money in these dilapidated buildings? And for some of them that were a split vote, and the mayor at the time chose the investment of going ahead and investing in it, is monies that we did have sort of in the bank. We spent approximately $350,000 for this one, $350,000 for the one back there, and brought them from a zero value to a value that now you look at our assets on the books, and why do we have X amount of millions of dollars? It's because of these assets that we've put, would consider a sizable investment, $350,000 into a building, but then at least has a value that has at least that, if not now more. As Councilman Leake brought out, those now are being rented. The rent roll, I had Roberto do some numbers of just our top renters since we did this change of shuffling, moving the PD, making this the government center. We're at $1,095,022 just on, that's not all the monies, just on what we've received in rent monies since they moved in. So to say that we ran in the red on this, absolutely not. Show me the math, because it doesn't work. To say that we did spend money in maintenance, absolutely. We spent 10+ thousand on when we put the roof on the Copper Cricket building. We rewrapped it with new siding, things that we would actually do to our own home, given the condition. At some point, this roof will be needing to be done. So do we do it as an investment of, like the designs have, a metal roof that will probably last us, you know, way outside the realm of an asphalt roof? It's, I guess, investing in the future. So it's where do we see if we're continuing this path and investment that we've already spent monies to get the plans, go to bid, you know, do we complete that, and how do we complete it? And is it today? Is it this month or this year? Is it waiting till another project comes in for new funding? You know, those are all questions. It's kind of unfair about the debt that we had, because it's a two-pronged fork there, that you have the purchase of this property that we're talking about, and then you had the over $1 million purchase of the park. So to kind of group that one loan into that, wait a minute, look, this park didn't pay off. Well, no, the park would never pay off. It was something that the previous councils and mayor at the time invested in that future, that we would want those almost 5 acres for our community. So to throw that math in there, that we're still paying on that, yeah. So would the investment of this building that we purchased, as we paid down the debt, now that we're almost 7 years away from a total debt-free, the math that I show, it was a great investment. It was a great investment that they put us into debt to then return, just like we did these 2 buildings that we've got, the money's coming in for. It would kind of be hard to let one of these buildings go with a rent roll that we're getting that's paying for it. As we know, these values will only continue to go up as our community continues to develop. Things go up in price. So I guess I'm just kind of talking for myself here, but there's my thoughts. There's kind of some of the history as we went down this road, and had criticism, which was good. It's good to put us into check to know, hey, why would you invest? Well, here's why we would invest. As we see this parcel across the street from us, who's going to want to invest in that parcel that's going to be looking at this thing? And the monies that we do put in, I would say that we might not get dollar for dollar, but definitely the building will raise in value as you look at the rendering back there, what it would look like or could look like. So, yeah, like I said, I don't think this is not tonight, but it's the dialogue that will at least get out there, and then when we go to making a decision and get the public opinion on it. But the residents that I hear from, it's like this, they're looking at this when they walk by it. So we're not looking for the interior, we're looking from the outside. And there again, I think all of us would repair a roof on our own home when the time is necessary. So with that said, any other comments or thoughts? Nope. Okay. We'll continue to move on here. We have a draft CIP that we have listed, which I think is finding a little interesting, because we went back, I think, was it Miss Emily, that we went back to previous CIPs. So in years and years past, as we go back, 10 years, 12 years, 8 years, and it's really kind of neat to be able to have a record and to go back to that record and to look to see what previous councils spent or thought CIPs was all about. So.
Yes, so what we did this year is when we drafted this CIP, we looked at the previous ones and projects that weren't fully funded or completed, and we held some of these over as line items for our CIP that we as staff, planning commission, and hopefully council would want to continue to look at doing, hopefully down the line. So on page 39, just the brief memo, this is the CIP on page 40 that the Planning Commission has recommended to the Town Council with approval. At our March 18th meeting, we did hear from several citizens about the importance of the quiet zone implementation staying in the CIP. So the Planning Commission discussed this line item and asked for me to put it back in. We did bump it out 1 year, so we would look at this in 2020, 2021. And this would better align with when VDOT's going to start to do their big project where they raise the road over top of the railroad tracks. And so originally, just to kind of give some thought process to why we had taken it out, we had an accident just last year that it was probably a miracle the person made it out alive. The car flipped quite a few times, was hit by the train, and they were able to walk away. But this was at the crossing that has just the one small little stop sign. It's the private crossing, so it's very dangerous. You don't have any arms that come down. There's no lights. There's no sounds, nothing besides the train horn that kind of alerts you. And then it's up to you to look both ways. So still very dangerous. And when you put the quiet zone in, this takes away one of the safety precautions. So that was one of the reasons we looked at taking it out, but again, based on citizen comment, planning commission discussion, it has been added back. Are there any questions on any of the projects or items on the CIP?
No, just I guess for note, I think we looked, Chief, in years and years past, almost every council has designated a police cruiser, just for the record, to the CIP. That's one point that I wanted to make. Any other thoughts or?
With the quiet zone information, don't we need like no accidents within, is it like 3 years or 5 years or
Yes.
something along those lines for it to actually be able to get passed through?
Yes.
And the last accident you said was last year?
Yes, April 13th of 2018. It was a Friday.
Was there some,
Friday the 13th.
Friday
Yeah.
the 13th. So it was almost a year ago.
I think there was some misinformation out there also that the town expended funds for grants and stuff like that. There's been no record of anything.
The only record that we had was some expenditure for infrastructure to help with what's currently out there.
Okay.
So what, Connor, is what you're going for is to push it out farther since we're not going to be able to.
Quite possibly. I mean, if we're thinking, I mean, now granted, we always need to be proactive, not reactive. So if there's items that we need to be doing 4 years, do we know what if it's 3 or 5 years? For some reason, those two numbers are in the top of my head. But for instance, say it's a 5-year, you need no accidents for 5 years. I'm not saying let's be reactive at year 5 and start doing what's necessary. But at the same time, if it only takes a year or two to implement, get things moving along, why are we starting 4 years in advance if that's necessary? I agree with being proactive and not reactive to the matter, but as we note that it just happened almost a year ago, granted, yes, we do need to know if it's a 3-year wait or if it's a 5-year wait. For some reason, I think it's 5, but the number just comes. But yes, Vice Mayor, that was one of my thoughts to push it out.
So here's a question too. So this quiet zone, of course, we realize what the intent of it is to stop the train from blowing its horn. But I don't think there's a resident here, with maybe exception of a few that might have bought and wasn't aware, but everyone that lives here, moved here, knows we have a train.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably the closest person to the train as it stands. I kind of like hearing the train, and it seems like in the middle of the night or whatever, typically it was one of those things that you heard maybe the first week you lived here, but it's like a grandfather's clock. It just kind of goes into the background. So I only say that I'm not sure that we've ever even did a study or any kind of intake from the citizens that, is
I
this?
just think it's not a total quiet zone, right? It's just during the nighttime hours. Am I correct with that?
I believe so.
So, I mean, I understand what people are saying,
Yeah. I don't know. So in other words, are we really pushing a lot of stuff for something that is this a really big deal? Is this something that maybe just a very small 1% of the community feels strongly about, or is it something that, I don't know. I throw it out there as a question.
Yeah, and one of the gentlemen that spoke at the Planning Commission, well, a couple of them spoke. Mr. Passanello spoke, as well as his wife, the Carrolls, and another resident that's a 15-year resident or something. And as he said, I know you're going to say, tracks were here before my house, but, at what point in time does that whistle stop blowing? I mean, so I can it's like the people live next to Reagan, or Dulles. Those airports were there before the houses.
well, plus I think the train
But-
traffic's going to increase
Yeah.
too, so that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can understand from their point too. I'm be glad when it won't be an issue when they can get the bridges done. then it's not an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Any other thoughts or concerns about the CIP? All right, moving on. Proposed public hearing dates. So help put us through this timeline. I think Roberto maybe had drafted this in order for us to
Good evening, Council. Yeah, the timeline in front of you is very similar to the one we had last year. I think last year and the prior year, we tried to stick to around the same timeline. It seemed to work. These are proposed dates. The first one you will see is the public hearing for the meals tax increase of 1%. The following one would be for the public hearing concerning the budget, and the third one will be the public hearing for the tax rate.
or adopting the budget.
The adopting of the budget, I think last year we did that as the first during council meeting in June.
Yes, there was a deadline for that as well.
Yeah.
June 30th, yes. Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Why don't we maybe save that for a moment and then maybe go back over to the budget, since these are kind of how you advertise, correct me if I'm wrong, sir, you would advertise at a rate that whatever would be the maximum rate, not to say that that would be an adopted rate.
Correct.
Yeah, so you
But the
could,
budget's still up for discussion, but we
Correct.
just have to
Make sure that we
advertise for
advertise.
the worst-case scenario.
right. So with that in mind, if you advertise just for, say, no increase, then you would not be able to pass or adopt a budget that had it.
With regard to the real estate taxes, right.
Correct, okay.
You can do a mid-year adjustment on other taxes.
Okay.
So meals tax, all those things you can do. It's just the real estate taxes that have to be.
They have to be locked in. You can't go higher than the rate that you advertised.
Okay. So with that, if we want to, we can maybe go over, if we want to discuss any more of the draft budget. If there's any other suggestions or modifications to that, we have two that are presented to us. Both of those, just for the record, have no increased tax rate increase. So the tax rate would be the same as last year. As pointed out, and as we know, the price of our homes have gone up somewhat, and so there's a realization of you will be paying more, but because your property has increased in value. I think we're all understanding that and know that very clearly. The only way to change that would be to almost lower the tax rate to a point that happened one year, I think, where they lowered it to equalize it, as one of the speakers had mentioned. You would lower the rate to make it to where it wouldn't be a fair for all. It's a kind of a fair for the majority of everyone. Say if mine, for example, had gone up 10%, I'm not going to get 10% less. It's the percentage that went up would then be taken off of the percentage for everyone.
Right.
So with that understanding, and I'm not sure there's anybody that's recommended something like that.
My problem with something like that is we all know that it costs money to run this town. The crosswalks need to be done, everything's costing more money, and it just keeps going up. And it stinks. I mean, I got my tax assessment too. Yay if I'm going to sell, but I'm not going to sell. So everything costs more money, but we're at a point in this town where we need to seriously do some of these projects, or this town's going to get left behind. There's so much going on around us. So I'm fine with leaving it flat and just taking whatever the small difference is per household. That will help us a little bit. But I think the meals tax is where we're going to have to. People that come and visit our town and stop in here to get gas and get a meal, and then they're on their way, and not put the entire tax burden on our residents.
And that's what's key. That's why I'm opposed to personal property taxes, to raise them. I'll just tell you, I am. I'm not
Real
opposed
estate tax.
to, yes, sir.
Right.
I'm not opposed to the meals tax. You know, whether it's a half a cent or a cent, whatever we come to and vote on, if it even comes to that. One of the things I'm trying to keep in mind, and as I talk to some citizens about this budget, is it's not going to be too far down the road where if things go like they're planned now, we're going to be in a position where we could possibly reduce taxes.
Do away with the property.
Absolutely. And sometimes some people can't see the forest for the trees. Unfortunately, we have some people speak about the budget of which they really don't have all the facts. And I'm going to bring up something that I think a couple of y'all have. Because I think this is important for anyone that's attacking us on the budget when they're not sure what they're talking about. And I'll give a perfect example. The chief, tonight, his budget was questioned without really one of those cases, you don't know what you don't know. And I'm going to point this out, that there are many things that the chief carries in equipment, but they're paid for by the sale of assets or donations and grants. And those monies are charged to his equipment budget, but they're refunded into the revenue side of the town hall budget. You know, I can appreciate anyone coming in to speak about the budget, but they don't know what they don't know. It's easy to sit here and try to pick this apart and find everything negative, which is a common occurrence. But facts are facts. I just, again, try to keep in mind that down the road, soon, when I say soon, I'm talking about within the next 3 to 5 years, hopefully we'll be able to reduce taxes or eliminate some of them. I think that's an important thing for us and as well as our constituents out here to really realize. So that's all I.
And just kind of for a record too, so our real estate tax for our budget, approximately, $400,000. Our other revenues that come in, other than our real estate that our taxpayers have, $1.3 million. So as we know, just our meals tax alone is a large number of that comes in. And it was pointed out in previous councils, there's no way that any of our town residents could ever eat the meals to make those numbers work. That this is from people from out of town, the interstate traffic, the people that, these 24-hour restaurants that are just continuing, the people come in, they eat the meals, they go, or they come and they walk our town or whatever.
We've talked about Crossroads. You know, what's going to happen there in the restaurants? Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, those are numbers that are going to be, you're right. Any other thoughts or? Oh, I think you did a comparison too with meals tax. I know that.
For jurisdictions.
Yeah, I remember attending the meeting with all the mayors, and some were leaving the meals tax alone. There were some that were, their jurisdictions were going up like a half a penny or something like that. But the 4 or even 5%, I still think is a norm for our area. But I'll let you speak on it.
It is. It's 5% is actually a medium through the Virginia when it comes to meals tax. So around the surrounding area, 4%, but there have been, I think Purcellville.
Purcellville, I think
Purcellville is a little bit higher.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This tax has never gone up since it was implemented. Of course, I think it was originally, to give the history, it was earmarked for streetscape. Streetscape money, as we've seen this thing.
That was for our matching funds. Right?
Yeah. To give you some ideas, from 2013 at maybe 460,000 to today's about $670,000 in meals tax, as this always seems to be a number that always continues to grow higher. I would argue the point that I could understand maybe a small percentage of people that would go to other localities, but if you're coming off the interstate or you're already here, the restaurants here. I'm not sure that,
The time is
Yeah.
gone.
Yep.
And a lot of those times, folks that are looking at it are saying, am I going to pay the extra 4%, or am I going to go to Dominion Valley to get Subway, or am I going to go to the McDonald's off 29 or Chick-fil-A over in Gateway and have to deal with crossing over 20? I mean, time is money to a lot of those aspects. And when I look at it, I know that when I eat in town for lunch, because I work from home, I try to eat in town about 4 or 5 days out of the week, just because I like supporting our small town business owners. Even a lot of our owners who are franchisees, like Pragan of Subway and Jason of Chick-fil-A, they're guys that live here in the surrounding neighborhoods and are great folks, and I love supporting our small town business, even if it means that it's an individual franchise owner of that aspect. But I mean, you have a lot of great restaurants in here, and it's about supporting the small town businesses, and at the same time, it's not a burden, it's not an extra cost that they're picking up, it's something they're collecting and just transferring over to us.
it's a pass-through that they've collected and just passed it on to the towns, as we've seen others.
So we're gonna,
So, yeah,
motion for these
yeah,
public hearings?
so motion for the public hearings. There again, a worst-case scenario?
The only one that's not good for me is May 14th, that Tuesday.
So,
So, these are all based on, I guess, like deadlines. So is it, Roberto, are we looking at that we can do this before then or after? How many days more would we need?
Mr. Mayor, you need 30 days advance notice of the real estate tax equalization advertisement. So you probably couldn't move it much earlier than May 14th, because today's the 1st, and we have to advertise for 30 days. It takes us to the end of the month, and doesn't leave that many days in the beginning part of May where you could set it. Because I don't know when the newspaper publishes. What day do they publish this? Wednesday. And so we would not be able to get it in this Wednesday, I'm guessing. So it would have to be the following Wednesday, so it'll be the 10th.
9th, 10th,
So that, the 9th of May would be the absolute first day that you could have that hearing.
Okay. So is there another convenient time that would still make this deadline?
okay, so explain to me again, I don't know, I'm kind of having a brain freeze right now. So we can't have these public hearings at the same time, correct?
You can't have the public hearing on the budget and the tax rate at the same
Right.
time.
It seems to me that the tax rate would come first before just saying, put the cart before the horse. You gotta approve the tax rate before you can set your budget.
It's not a legal requirement, but as you say, it's a logical requirement.
I mean, I'm just saying.
No, I would
It
agree.
makes sense.
So,
And I guess for attendance, the real kicker would be the voting for the adopted budget. I mean, this is public hearing.
Right.
to have
Right.
one for each.
Correct. One public hearing for
Right.
each, and then you don't have to vote on them at the time. But when you adopt the tax rate, remember that you have to have 2/3 of the membership
Present.
for and voting in favor of the tax increase.
Okay. So we would want to do the tax rate first, right?
So anytime starting on the 9th.
Can we do that the 9th?
That's a Thursday.
So has Ms. Cavazos told you what her vacation dates are? Can we take a quick recess and see if I can, she's out
Absolutely.
sick tonight. See
Yeah,
if I can
because the
call her
16th,
because
I know the
think it's important
16th
that-
through the 19th, I'm out of town. Those 4 days. It's a Thursday through Sunday.
All right, why don't we go ahead and take a short recess?
5 minutes.
Everybody
Yep,
look at their
check.
calendars, figure out
Yep.
what days are good or not.
So 8:15, we'll reconvene at 8:20.
Okay.
Got the Okay, and we're back. So we last left it looking at our calendars to see what we could do, and do we have a draft motion?
Want me to go?
Sure.
Okay. I make a motion for staff to advertise for public hearing on May 20th at 7 PM for the public hearing on the FY 2019-20 tax rate. The notice will be submitted for publication on,
That doesn't need to be part of the motion.
that doesn't need part of the motion, okay. And then on, should I do
But you
separate
should-
motions?
The motion should be, yes, at the property, real property tax rate remaining at the existing rate of .146 per $100.
I'm looking at the wrong one, thank you. Okay, let me start over. We ready? I move that the town council authorize the clerk to advertise a public hearing for May 20th at 7 PM for public comments on the FY 2019-20 real property tax remaining at the existing rate of 0.146 per $100 of assessed value. This notice shall also include the information required under section 58.1-3321 of the Code of Virginia.
Motion on the floor.
Second.
Second by Councilman Leak. Discussion on the motion. So this will be advertising that there's not going to be any tax rate increase, remaining the same for public comment. So make sure we know what we're voting on. With that, no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Leek?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Day?
All right.
So I make a motion to advertise for a public hearing on May 21st at 7 PM for comments on the FY 2019-20 budget.
I second.
Second, discussion. Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Leek?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Edwards? Day?
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, if I could offer something. Mr. Gonzalez and I were talking about this earlier, and for the meals tax, you don't need to, that's only a 7-day advertisement period, so you don't even need to make a decision about advertising for a public hearing that tonight. You can come back and revisit that issue at your regular May meeting.
I think that would be a prudent thing, unless everybody's okay with that. I think that's an almost yes, or do we want to?
We can do it either way.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to advertise, shouldn't we advertise at all? I mean, I don't care.
You could certainly wait until your May, what's your May meeting? May 6th meeting, and still advertise it for the May 20th hearing date. So
Okay.
you could put it on that date.
So we could still hear comments on the same day?
Correct.
Okay.
That's a smart way, I think.
There's no rush.
Okay, thank you.
So with that, I think we've got a consensus to go ahead and take that advice and maybe wait until the next meeting. Okay, well, great. That takes care of those. Our next item is our BZA board member vacancies.
Yes.
One applicant at this time.
Here it is. I got my motion. I move to recommend to the Circuit Court of Prince William County that it appoint John King to the Town of Haymarket Board of Zoning Appeals, term ending January 31st, 2023.
A second?
Motion been seconded by Councilman Shannon. Discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Leek?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Day?
Yes.
Great. Okay. Playground, that's right. We were adding that to number 8. So at that time, why don't we go ahead and have the playground information that we brought off for a work session. I think we have a recommendation as well on the work session packet, I believe. Right. Yep.
I move Move the town council approve the funding and construction of the Haymarket Community Park Playgrounds, specifically for the equipment to be purchased in fiscal year 19 and the construction to occur in fiscal year 2020.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor and seconded by Councilman Shannon. Discussion on the motion. Roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Edwards? Yes. Day?
Yes.
Wonderful, great. Okay, updates. Planning Commission,
Okay,
PC.
we had, it was a rather quick meeting. We talked a little bit about the CIP, the final draft, which was brought to us tonight here on the dais. We talked about the playground update and the street tree recommendation. So it was a quick meeting. So that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right, ARB, you want to,
Very similar, quick meeting. We had just 2 regular applications that we reviewed for fences. One was also for a solar panel addition onto a home. I just wanted to update council. That was approved. The ARB discussed it, and based on some previous applications that have been presented for solar panels and how this one was situated in the community, they did approve it. So that's kind of a new addition to our town. We are working within the ARB to have something about solar panels and our guidelines added in our next rendition of them. We also discussed the street trees. They were all okay with the crepe myrtles and provided their recommendation for council to proceed with that. They liked that idea. We also discussed the property across the street, so I gave them the update that it is expected on April 20th that the demolition will start for the approved structures to come down. We'll see a fence go up around the property probably the week prior. So we are currently working with the contractor who is going to be performing the work to make sure that everything is shut off properly, the right permits are pulled, etc. So that will happen this month if everything
April
goes as
20th.
planned. Yes, April 20th. So
which is a Saturday, by the way, too.
it is.
Yeah. So you say construction of that fence, is that like literally will fence the entire property?
So what they plan to do is put up like the silt fence that you would see at construction sites around all of the parcels that are coming down. So they'll probably come in on the corner of the Jefferson Payne Lane corner where that house stays. They'll bring the fence with it in the property.
So it's more of a silk fence for, versus a like chain link fence for,
They, I think, are probably going to end up doing both so
Okay.
that any disturbance of sediment or materials doesn't, if it gets windy or rainy, it doesn't start washing out onto the roadways. And then they'll also have the fence chain link for protection so no one comes in the property while the equipment's moving around, things like that.
okay, all right. Okay. Any further questions regarding that? Okay. One other item of business too, we have off of our work session agenda, the intern, correct, as we discussed.
I move that the council direct staff to post the historic preservation intern job posting by Friday, April 5th, 2019, to include the revised job description as amended April 1st, 2019, with a pay rate of $12 per hour for a period not to exceed 32 hours a week for 12 weeks.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Councilman Leek. Discussion on this motion?
I'm so excited. Thank you, Emily. You did a great job.
Further discussion on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Shannon?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Kathy?
Yes.
Edwards?
Yes.
Day?
Yes.
Great. Okay. What do we have left? Councilmember time
And closed session.
and closed session, short closed session. So, Councilman Shannon.
Couple of things, and this is really for the town planner, Sherwood Forest update. They're going to start on the concrete and the asphalt work on 3 April. So in 2 days, they're going to be starting. They're anticipating a week to do everything they have to do. That's best case, with no rain or whatever. Could go longer if, otherwise, that's, which is a good sign, so we can take those roads in the state system. I like to always throw my 2 cents in about how I enjoy being part of this team. I'll state again, we have to agree to disagree at times, but I respect that, and that's the way it should be. And I'll take my hat off again to the town staff, everything they're doing, Shelley setting up and really bird dogging, as I would say, this, our street festival that we're coming up, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Emily working with everything going on across the street, Roberto with his budget, with his treasury experience and everything. We have a young crew, but darn, they're good. Even you, Miss Shelley, I don't count you as young. But and Chief, kind of young, but experienced anyway. But no, I won't make. Never mind. But I will tell you, I am proud to live in this town and to be a part of our team, the government of this town. So, Chief Lands, I give you kudos all the time. It's well deserved. I have 100% faith and confidence in you and how you run your budget and how you run your team. It is truly a team. So, thank you, sir. That's all I have.
Councilman Leake.
No comments.
Councilman Panthy. Okay. Vice Mayor.
Real quick, I just wanted to say that on Thursday, we have a gentleman, Emily, I introduced her to him, Michael Spence. He's coming from Mary Washington University to use all his fancy equipment to shoot the elevations and all the measurements of the buildings so we can have that historic record that's free of charge to our town. And so it's going to be really exciting, and we hope that we can work with this department in the future to get all of our historic buildings documented. But he's just doing these quickly because they're coming down, hopefully.
Okay. Councilman Day?
No comment. Thank you.
All right.
One question, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
From Councilman Lee. You have no comments, and this is April Fool's Day, or are you going to?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, we haven't came out of closed session yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we have some lease matters that we need to discuss, and so can you bring us in the proper format here, sir?
Yes, sir. The form of the motion would be to move that the council convene in closed session to discuss legal issues with regard to town rental property leases as permitted by Virginia Code Section 2.23711A8.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great, unanimous. We'll be back shortly. Okay, we're back. So let's go ahead and bring us back into open session.
The form of the motion would be that the council certify that in the closed session just concluded, nothing was discussed except the matter or matters, one, specifically identified in the motion to convene in closed session, and two, lawfully permitted to be discussed under the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act cited in that motion.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Panthy?
Yes.
Leake?
Yes.
Edwards? Yes. Day?
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Yeah, horrible.